Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Shelby, aka Ms.Botanica, and in today's video, I will be talking about things that I wish I knew before I got into houseplants and became a houseplant parent. Without further ado, Michael will roll the intro. Okay, so I broke this. This is going to be a very heavy talking video, so if you're not interested in just me talking about things that I wish I knew, proceed to another video. But if you are interested in some of the things that I wish I knew before becoming a houseplant parent, then stick around. So I have broken this up into like 5 different sections. First section being watering, second, soil, third, fertilizer, fourth, basic husbandry, and 5, finances. So now let me get into all of them. So for the first one, I said watering, and one thing that I really wish I knew was what is meant by too much and too little watering. You could take a succulent and you could drown it in water, and that would not be too much water, as long as you don't let it sit in that. And I wish I knew that, because I used to just do like the capfuls, and I used to be like, oh, is that too much water? Or is that too little water? When in reality, it wasn't even enough water, and it wasn't, and how I was watering the plants very inconsistently, like every day a little capful of water. Yeah, no, that's not gonna do anything for my plant. So I wish I knew that. I wrote root rot. So I wrote dry versus wet. There is a thing like called like dry rot, I guess you could say. Basically, it's when you underwater your plants so much that the roots dry out, and then when you water them again, they aren't like able to soak up the water, and they essentially rot, and your plant dies. I've done that to countless plants where I have given them dry rot. Okay, anyway, so I've given some plants root rot from being too wet and from also drying out too much. That is a thing. And I don't think many people talk about plants drying out too much, because most of the time this falls into the next section, which is soil, which is the soil contains moisture for too long, causing the plants to rot. So you could be watering the plant how you're told to water the plant, but the soil could have amendments in it that are very dense and hold on to a bunch of moisture for too long, and that's not a good thing, and then that causes rot. So for soil, which is the second part of this, I wrote different amendments, mixes, and nutrients. So soil can be made with different things in it. Different amendments is what we're going to call it. And some people use just perlite, orchid bark, cocoa coir, and that's it. That's cool. That's great. That's dandy. Some people just go out and buy a garden bag of soil and use that. That could be fine too. But the key is with different plants. Aroids like airy mix. So if you water it and the water just sits on the top and it doesn't go through, that's not a good mix. But if you water it and it like soaks completely through and it goes out, that's good. You just have to make sure that you keep up with watering your plants so that they don't dry out too much, and then you get dry rot. Another thing is the nutrients in the soil. A lot of people freak out when they see like fungus growing in their soil, and that's actually can sometimes be a good thing to have fungus growing in your soil, because that means that that soil is rich in different bacteria and nutrients, and it is able to have things live in it, which is really good. And I think you can also get beneficial bacteria to put in your soil if you like use hydrogen peroxide and alcohol to sterilize your soil mixes. I think you can add that into it. Not positive though, don't quote me on it. But also with nutrient, that goes into our third topic, which is fertilizer. How much, how often, what kind, during the winter? Those are all the questions I asked. So how much? Honestly, I would say whatever works for you, or whatever fertilizer you're using, whatever the recommended dose is per gallon or whatever, use that. And then how often? Personally, I never fertilize, and now I'm fertilizing every time I water, and that I think is perfectly fine, because your plants aren't necessarily outside during the winter time, so they're not going through that dormancy period. So I think it's fine for you to water often. You might just want to take down your dosing like a little bit, but other than that, I think you can fertilize all the time. If you have like fertilizer pellets in your water, then obviously you don't have to fertilize with liquid fertilizer every time you water. But yeah, what kind? Again, up to you. Right now, I'm trying to use Miracle Grow fertilizer up, and I have Super Thrive, which isn't really a fertilizer, but sometimes I use it. And I think I have the slow release fertilizer pellets. I forget what brand, but I think I have those two that I have sprinkled in some of them. But I wanted to try liquid dirt, even though that's technically speaking not a fertilizer, but it could be a fertilizer. I forget what it's technically referred to as, but there's that. There's all sorts of different kinds on the internet. And honestly, it's up to you. And don't forget, some plants require different ratios. So it's like a 3-to-1 ratio. I forget which each one is. It's like phosphorus, nitrogen maybe. I don't know. Not nitrogen, something. But anyway, look more into that. Maybe I'll make another video going into depth about fertilizers. And then during the winter, like I said, since your plants aren't really outside during the winter, like for where I am, my plants definitely could not live outside during the winter, so I'm not keeping them outside during the winter, and some of them are actually still growing, so I would still fertilize my plants during the winter. Okay, basic husbandry. Now for this one, I wrote air circulation, lighting, and humidity. Air circulation. No one talks about this, I feel. Like, it's very limited. So if you get those weird fungus spots on your leaves, it's probably due to poor air circulation. Fun fact. I use copper fungicide to get rid of that stuff. But you're supposed to have like air moving around, and if you're just in like a cabinet and the air's still, that's not good for your plants. My cabinet upstairs, it's still, so I have the like door cracked so that air can at least go in and out, so it's not too bad, and that's helped a little bit with the whole fungus thing. And fungus gnats too. That's a whole nother topic. But anyway, air circulation. That is a big thing. Definitely get some fans and get the air moving around your room. And then lighting. So, some people don't realize this, but most grow lights are LED lights. They're just marketed as grow lights so that the company marketing them as grow lights can make more money off of them. But all of my grow lights, for the most part, are LED lights. Do with that information as you will. Or you can still go get the grow lights that have the fancy colors and all that jazz. But for all my grow lights, I just have them on 12 hours. I don't change them ever to anything less or anything more. And my plants seem very happy with that. And I'm happy with that because that's like my normal hours of functioning. So I just leave that as that. But definitely don't keep your plants in dark corners or in cold basements. If you do have them in a cold basement, put a heater on them maybe. That might help them because, you know, tropical plants in a cold basement, not the best. And then humidity. So, humidity, I would say, is a very good thing. Not misting your plants, but having like a humidifier, that definitely does help. I've had that around. I used to not have a humidifier, and then the second I had a humidifier, it helped so much with stuck leaves. It helped so much with plants having small leaves and drying out too quickly. It really helped all around, so I highly suggest getting a humidifier too. And now the last topic, finances, the expenses, how much the materials can cost, how much housing the plants can cost, how much even buying the plants can cost. This hobby, I don't know how much money I've spent on it, but much more than I would have liked to say the least. Plants are very expensive, and I would say if you see a plant that's currently trending and you really badly want it, but it costs like several $100s or it's way out of your price range, don't buy it, because there's this thing in the market where it's trendy now, but in a few months it might not be so trendy, and it might be several $100s cheaper if you wait. I say this because several months ago, I wanted to get a variegated domesticum for $40. Now that size plant that was $40 goes for $250. I should have gotten it then, but now I have to wait for this plant to not be trendy to get it again. Or I just find someone locally who doesn't care about the market being sky high. There's that. Oh, and the materials. So like if you want to make your own soil, all those amendments cost money, but like I bought Leca over there. That was cheaper to buy in bulk than it would be to buy off of Amazon in small quantities over a long period of time. So that's why I bought in bulk. Sometimes buying in bulk is better than buying small bags. And I might be making moss poles soon, so I'll also talk about moss with that. What else? Other expenses. So Michael's parents and my parents obviously pay for the electricity in the house, and I've asked my parents, since I have lots of reptiles, I have fish tanks, I have my greenhouse, my grow cabinet and all of that. And it surprisingly doesn't cost a lot of money if you have LED lights and if you have timers too, because you're not running it for the whole entire day. So that's something to take into consideration, but I don't think electricity-wise, I don't think it costs that much to have a collection the size of mine, which is around like 200 houseplants. I don't think it's too terrible to add to your monthly bill, but buying the grow lights can be expensive. Buying the humidifiers can be expensive. The water bills could probably be expensive. Rainwater, that would help with that. And then buy plants locally and not always online when you see them, because buying locally is always cheaper, in my opinion. Not always cheaper. Sometimes people want to drag money out of you. But for the most part, if you have plant friends locally that have the plant that you want, it is cheaper. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Sorry if it was a lot of chitter chatter and it was boring for you. Maybe you'll enjoy the next video or the video before this. Not sure what's going up. And I know I said I was going to start the Houseplant Botany series, 101 series, and I haven't gotten to it yet because it's just too much work. And I'm like coming up on finals week here and it's getting very stressful. Very stressful. So that'll just be postponed until I can sit down and write a script to how I want it, because I don't want it to be like half-assed. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video and I will see you in the next one. Bye!